What's up, guys? Andrew back here again. Time to make my predictions for the Premier League season that's coming up. So what's going to happen? Chelsea going to repeat? Who's going back down? We got a lot of new signings. I think this is going to be a really fun and exciting season. I can't wait for it to get started. Alright, so there's only one real logical place to start, and that's at the bottom. So finishing off in 20th, I have Burnley. They did just enough last year to get themselves alive and stay alive, and one of the key parts of doing that was their center back, Michael Keane, who is now gone. They really haven't brought in anybody to replace him, and I don't think they made a lot of moves anywhere else that'll be really important for them. Heaton was phenomenal last season, but he can't keep everything out. I can't see them doing anything other than going back down again this year. Moving on to 19th, I've got Brighton. Brighton made a lot of signings this season, but so did Middlesbrough last season. They improved a lot of areas on the pitch, like bringing Matty Ryan in goal, for example, but they haven't brought in a lot of Premier League quality players to get it done. They brought in players, but I don't think those players are going to really change from names to results. That's why I have them 19th going back down. In 18th, it's time to say goodbye to Watford. After watching Deeney score that goal against Leicester in the Championship playoff round, and after watching all that behind-the-scenes documentary stuff from last season, this has been one of my favorite teams to watch over the past few years. But they haven't done it in the transfer market. They barely stayed up last season. I don't think Deeney can hold them up again. And at the end of the day, I think, as much as I hate to say it, I think they're going back down. In 17th, just surviving the drop, I've got Huddersfield. Huddersfield made a bunch of really nice signings this year, and I didn't expect it out of them, honestly. I thought they were going to be one of the teams that kind of just came up, enjoyed their time, and went right back down. But the reason I don't have them as high as, 13, 14 is because they're going to take time to mesh. They've got a lot of new names, a lot of new faces. They got to really take their time and really get used to each other. So you give them a slower start to the first half. By the second half of the season, they'll start picking things up and they'll just survive. In 16th, I've got Newcastle. I love what Rafa Benitez has done with this team. He's brought in a lot of really nice players, and he's also got a bunch of returning veterans that are going to help him out. He has lost a few big names that I thought were going to be really helpful this year, but I think John Joe Shelby's going to have a good year. Richie's going to hold it down. The two center backs coming back, Mbemba and Kieran Clark. They'll do fine. Tim Krul coming back. He'll help hold everything down. They're going to do just fine this year. No worries about them. They're staying up. In 15th, I've got Stoke City, a team that I think is going to struggle a lot this year. They were mediocre at best last season. They spent a lot of time in a relegation battle. Bringing Kurt Zuma was a decent addition, although after that injury, I'm not sure what type of player he is. And I think bringing in Darren Fletcher is going to help balance Joe Allen out a lot, and he'll be able to go forward. But the whole problem was always going to be their striker. And every cell in my body wishes that this is going to be Berahino's year, but I'm just not too sure about it. In 14th, I've got Palace. I really can't figure these guys out. Every year, on paper, they look like they have a team that really should be doing well. And then they flop out. And then they go to the transfer market and they bring in two players who are young, promising, but can't help them right now in Loftus-Cheek and Riedewald. I know that Benteke and Zaha will be able to help in the attack win points in close games and keep them afloat, but they were in a relegation battle last year for a long time as well, so they're nowhere near safe. I think they'll be able to hold themselves up, but this will be an interesting year for them. 13th, I have Swansea, and yes, I know they're in a relegation battle basically up until the last month last year, but what you saw in that last month was Paul Clement turning that team around. He really got the best out of all of his players, and that's something that's going to be really exciting to see this year. One of the big problems that they were missing that year is that they'd always try and push up and then get countered because they don't have a real holding mid there that could help them out. Bringing in Roque Mesa was such a great signing for them, because I think he'll be able to balance that out really well. The only thing that I can say about this prediction is that if Sigurdsson leaves and goes to Everton, they're going to have trouble because they're going to have nobody who can create up top. And that's something that they're lacking. They've got players who can finish the ball, but if he leaves, that's a huge majority of their attacking output. And they don't have anybody to replace that. But I've got no problem if he wants to come over to Everton. That's totally fine by me. In 12th, I've got Leicester. And I think they finally settled into that post-Conte era. The shock of him leaving for 30 mil to Chelsea's gone. And they're finally realizing the type of team that they want to be. They brought in another center defensive mid in Iborra to sit next to either Ndidi or Mendy, and I think that'll really, it won't be Conte, but it'll fill that hole that he left rather nicely. Vardy's going to continue to put balls away, no question about it. The only real question about this team is whether Mahrez stays or goes. If he stays, like I think so, I think they'll finish in 12th, they'll finish in a nice, comfortable area. If Mahrez goes, can they create the options going forward? And that's what we'll have to see. In 11th, I've got Southampton. This is one of my top 3 favorite teams outside of these guys. However, one of the things that needs to be watched is whether Van Dijk is going to stay or go. He was such a solid piece to their back line, and obviously that's why Liverpool want to sign him so badly. But news is that he's ready to leave. He's ready to go. So if he goes, they've got nothing in the back line. They haven't brought anybody to back him up if he goes. The people that bring him off the bench are not stellar. Let's be real. I'm really excited to see if Gabbiadini can pick up what he did last season, but without a back line, they're not making the top half. In 10th, I've got Bournemouth. I don't think Josh King's going to have the breakout year that he had last year. Stanislas is not going to help him out at all. But bringing in Begovic in goal and bringing in Defoe up top are going to help out tremendously. Their back line was always solid, which is always a big help for them, and I think they'll finish just fine right in the bottom of the top half like they should be. Now in 9th, my boys, Everton. And I know a lot of people probably thinking, they just made all these big signings. They signed Pickford, they signed Keane, they signed all these players, they're going to be great. Look at the beginning of this schedule. Man City, Tottenham, Chelsea, they're all on there. We've got one of the hardest starts of the season. We're going to struggle in the beginning of the season. There's no question about it, because you can't bring in 8, 9 new players that you want to fit into a team and then just expect them to play together. That's not how it works. You need to give them time to gel. I think Rooney has settled in nicely already. He's comfortable. And although I will admit I didn't want him, I think he'll do enough. He'll put up 8 goals this season, I think. I think Keane can slot into the back line pretty nicely. Sandro, I'm not sure about. I think he'll fit in, but again, I haven't seen him play enough. I think Pickford, while really promising, still needs to take a few more years to become a solid number 1. And the only point I'm really looking at to be really solid next year is Idrissa Gana, because he's the best center defensive mid in the league. But at the end of the day, these guys are going to be fine. They're going to finish top half, no question. But it's going to take them time to gel. And with a tough start to the season, we got to give them time. Finishing in 8th, I've got West Brom. And another team that I just don't really get. These guys, on paper, look bang average at best. But they've got a back line that can score goals all the time. Their midfield is always solid. And the only real loss that they had was Darren Fletcher, and that's not too hard to replace. I think that you're bringing back the core that they brought back from last season. I think they're going to have a similar finish. They're going to do all right. They're going to finish in the top half, and they'll be fine. In 7th, I've got West Ham. Possibly the most exciting, non-big spender teams that we have out here. Made really smart signings this summer. Bringing in Joe Hart was awesome. I was always looking for him to land back in the Prem, and I'm excited to watch him play again. Bringing Chicharito back to the Prem. Great signing. Taking Arnautovic from Stoke, head case, but he's a good player. That'll help him on the wings fill that Payet hole that left last season. Lanzini's ready for a breakout season as long as he's healthy, and I'm really excited to watch that as well. They've made a lot of really big additions on basically every position on the pitch, but there are a lot of new faces, a lot of big names. So if they can gel, they're going to be fun. If they can't and their egos are going to get in the way, this team could have trouble. This is going to be an interesting team to watch this year. In 6th, I've got Arsenal. Now, yeah, they finally, after however many years, have signed a big-name striker. Lacazette's here. He's ready to go. But one name doesn't fix your problem. Ozil can disappear for another half of the season, and then once that happens, Lacazette's not getting the ball. If Lacazette doesn't get the ball, Lacazette doesn't score. Their wingers are good, I'll give it to them. Their back line has been full of injuries. And yes, I understand they don't have any European football to worry about this season. But at the end of the day, I just think everybody else has more talent and plays better. That's basically it. In 5th, I've got Liverpool. I'm accepting Coutinho has gone to Barca. I think they did really well to get Mohamed Salah back here. And I think he's going to pair up really nicely with Mane and Firmino. I think Lallana and Henderson in the center mid are going to hold it down. Throw Emre Can in there as well. They got a solid core center mid guys. And with or without Virgil van Dijk, their back line is going to be solid again. Mignolet played really well after he regained that number 1 spot, and I expect him to keep that form again. But without Coutinho, I don't see them as a top 4 team. In 4th, I got Man U. I know they made the big signing of Rom, and that's great, but Rom's not going to win. He's going to bag you 15 goals, no question. That he'll put the ball in the net. But that's not what gets you the title. Bringing in Matic was a really good signing. Put him next to Herrera and let Pogba go free. Maybe we can get the Pogba from Juve if he can come back. I think Lingard's ready for a breakout year. He's had a really solid year. I've been watching him play a little bit in preseason. He's been really, really helpful. Martial on the wing as well has been really nice, feeding the ball in. I'm not sold on Lindelof yet. I don't know anything about him, so I can't say he's going to make them better or worse. But I don't think Rom at striker makes you championship winning. At 3, I've got Chelsea. Now, I don't think they're going to do what they did back 2 years ago, where they're going to win the league and then nearly get relegated. That's not going to happen. Conte doesn't let that happen. He's got too much energy, too much fight to let his team. Bringing in Rudiger was good. I think that'll help solidify that center back role that Aspi kind of was makeshift filling in. I think that bumps him out to right back where he's more comfortable. You let Victor Moses go higher, and everything kind of fits in. That was definitely one of the pieces they were missing. But bringing in Bakayoko for Matic doesn't do it for me. I was not impressed a few times I watched him play. And I think Morata, good signing, but he hasn't proven it yet. You know, he's been a backup striker at every team he's played for. So until he can prove it for me, I'm not buying it. I don't think they're going to go back-to-back again, but I also don't think they're going to return this year. And number 2, I got Man City. And they went big on defense again this year, and I think they finally got it right. They went hard on the outside back with Walker, Mendy, and Danilo. And I think that's really going to help them out because outside back was a struggle. Pushing them up the flanks is going to help free up Aguero, Sterling, De Bruyne, all those creative, sonic, attacking players like that are all going to get freed up. And that's going to be phenomenal for their attack. But I think it may take them a little bit too long to figure that out. And I also think they're missing one solid center defensive mid to hold them back if there's a counterattack, which is why I've got Tottenham at number 1. This is Tottenham's year. They've got all of the pieces from last year that they need, minus Kyle Walker, who lost his starting job anyway. I think Kane stays healthy, and I really think he will this year. He's going to bag 30 goals. Dele Alli is going to have another great year. Eric Dyer is playing phenomenally. Center backs are good. There is no weak point in this team, and this is their year to do it, and I'm calling it. Tottenham Hotspur, 2017-2018 Premier League champions. But that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys all enjoyed it. I'm sure I'll be back here again talking about these predictions, seeing how I did poorly, how I did better. We'll see what happens, but I hope you guys all enjoyed the season as much as I did. So until then, be good.